Hello friends, welcome to my channel Sushant Chess Quiz. Today we are going to discuss all about chess books, how we should read chess books and what should be the approach. Same lesson I have made in Hindi also. You can check lesson 655 for the Hindi version of the same lesson. So first let us try to classify the chess books into different categories. So if we broadly try to classify, we will see that three categories are there. One on the opening, other on the middle game and third on the end game. Apart from that, we can consider books for complete game study, we can consider books for studying the games of world champions, and we can also go for category of self-improvement, books which will help us overall understand the game of chess better. So let's start with the opening section first. If we talk about openings, we see that there are two kinds of book. One, completely only about openings. The book deals with all openings in one book, like Batsword chess openings or Encyclopedia of chess openings or non-chess openings, like these. In Encyclopedia of chess openings, it's a 5-volume series. There are 5 volumes. They categorize all the chess openings into 5 different sections. Like volume A is all irregular openings, like non-E4 and D4 moves, like NF3, G3, B4, A4. Some part of D4, NF6 also falls into that. Then there is the B volume, which consists of all the moves in E4 other than E4, E5 and E4, E6. Then there is the C volume, which has only E4, E5 and E4, E6. Then the D volume consists of only D4, D5 openings. And finally there is the E volume, which considers everything in D4 and F6. So this way they try to cover all the openings. Secondly, we can have opening books which have particular opening series, like beating the French, beating the Sicilian defense. General books, they try to cover roughly all the lines, but generally what happens in these kind of books, in trying to prove their point, many a times the authors leave the main lines. The main lines are not considered in great detail. So we can go for those books. There are many series related to understanding the French, let's say, titled with tactics in French. These kind of books can be more helpful. It will give us idea about the planning of these openings. That is about opening. We can also use softwares in this for preparing openings. We can also use games of players, where we know that a particular player plays these openings, that we can do combining with game study. So opening also we have to revise time to time. Whatever openings we have to make notes from different books, and it's good to have own notes and revise them time to time. That is about the opening. We can, because some books have good lines, the way we want to play, attacking or a positional line in one book. Similarly, opponents, some other move is better considered in some other book. So we can mix and match and make our own notes. For such opening preparation, softwares like ChessBase are very useful. Let's go to the second category, that is the puzzle section. The puzzle section consists of books for position solving. Like there are typical, as I always said, I have a syllabus made for my students, so I use these books like 1001 Sacrifice and Combinations, then the Encyclopedia of Chess Middle Games, the Anthology of Combinations. There are several booklets of Metin 2, 3, 4. There is the book by Judith Polgar consisting of some 5000 positions on Metin 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that is there. Apart from that, there are splendid series of Russian series of School of Chess Excellence. Those are very handy for all beginner, intermediate and advanced level. So these books can be used for position solving. All these books, one should have a syllabus kind of idea, like we do in studies. Try to aim to cover one book in a stipulated time. Let's say I want to have a book like 1000 position book. I would like to cover it within a span of 8 to 10 months. And then as homework, I should try to repeatedly do those positions at least which I couldn't get the answer properly or which I struggled in solving. So those we should do again, mark them in the book and try to do them again. Next category is the most important, improving the game through game study. So game study becomes a very important part. Here comes the books like Winning Pawn Structure, which deals with specific positional aspects of the game. Book like Power Chess Program. These are books, they have like a course in it, small courses which can be broken down, which are already broken down, we can study them. They consider all the aspects, opening, end game and the middle game. Then I like to do game study of particular player or game study of general, any opening or any player. For general game study, I have a collection of books which I generally recommend. Road to Chess Mastery, Master versus Amateur. There is Logical Chess Move by Move. There are books related to analysis of games like by there is that Winning Pawn Structure, as I said. There is the book by Igor Stoll where analysis of modern games are there. Something called Modern Chess Practices. So those books are there which we can use and analyze and study the games. There is another book called The Greatest Games of Chess. These are the books which show us all good games and the analysis is there. These are little bit for advanced players, but all the names I suggested we can do. There is the book Most Instructive Games of Chess Ever Played, which is also a fascinating book. Apart from that, there are self-help books which help us understand the game better. That is, there is the book called Think Like a Grandmaster, which explains the art of analysis, how I should go about calculation in chess. Now the next category is of studying games of world champions. This is another tool which we can use in a smarter way. Like if let's say I am a positional player or I like to play slow positions, I should study a world champion of that style, and at the same time after completing that player I should study a world champion of the opposing style. That will be a very helpful way of doing these books. All these books we should try to come back and do them after a span of anywhere between 3 to 6 months once again. So amongst world champions, I think we should first study games of Murphy. Okay, these games will teach us a lot about the activity and initiative. Then one should study games of Capablanca. There are 100 games of Capablanca. Then there are best games of Alekhine, life and games of Mikhail Tal, life of a world champion, that is on Mikhail Botvinnik. So these books we can use. And there is the great series called My Great Predecessors by Garry Kasparov. This book one should at least have 1 or 2 volumes, and it is highly recommended that one goes through this series totally. So it is a 5-volume series. All the world champions before Kasparov are discussed in detail. It's a book about games. It's the book about development of chess from first world champion to the one before him, that was Anatoly Karpov. So each book contains 4 world champions. The first 3 books have the format of 4 world champions, and the last 2 have, 4th has Fischer and the 5th has Anatoly Karpov. So that way 12 world champions are covered in the book. This is the first volume, My Great Predecessors. So the first book has 4 world champions, Stenitz, Lasker, Capablanca and Alekhine. So their games and their stories right from their childhood to how they become world champions. Now let's go to the most important aspect of improving our endgame. Endgame mostly disliked by many players, but one of the most important thing, like opening, the endgame is also very much static, and if we know endgame theory well, it can definitely save many losing games. Okay, and it will help us convert our winning games also very easily. So for endgame, we can have we should start generally with the basics of king and pawn endgames. I highly recommend the book on endgame by Murli Mohan. It is the endless endgame. Definitely we can study that. After which I like the secrets of pawn endgame. Then there is this book called Starting Out the Rook Endgame. Fantastic book. For rook endgame there are many other books, like we can use Practical Rook Endgames. Then I also like the book Doretsky's Endgame Manual, little higher level but considers all the endgames in from basic to advanced level. This is very good for any player, around 1600 or 1800 level. Then there is an endgame book by Silman also, which is also a great book. And finally, we have got some self-help books which can help us overall understanding of the game, how the chess game improved over a period, and what is the objective of the game, and so on. Like there is one by How Life Imitates Chess. It's a basically reading book. And there are some books like Russians versus Fischer, how Bobby Fischer dominated the chess world and how he could overcome the Russian presence. And then there are books like Psychology in Chess, which can help us understand overall how the player thinks in a game. There are many topics like how to avoid time trouble and etc. in those books. So this was a general view about how one can use these books. Do note that all these books should be studied after a particular span, because see, we will forget very fast. Especially opening, middle game and end game should be studied in such a way. One should have one book as a bedtime reading book which we can read. Okay, like most likely I would say my great predecessors would be a best book to do so. We can read, and there are series by world champions which also we can see younger kids like Carlson. So there is a book called Wonder Boy Carlson. Those are bedtime reading books. There is a book by Polgar also, but that's more of games and books. But the Wonder Boy Magnus Carlsen, that is a very good book to read for kids and all. In future, I will make more videos on particular books, how we can use a particular book, what we should do. For the position solving, as I always said, and the end games, always place the positions on the board. Try to write the analysis, whatever calculation we have done, then check with the answer from the book. I hope you will find the lesson useful. Do let me know in the comments below. Thanks for your time.